All right, friends, it's me again. I wanted to do problem 2 with you, but I realized that I cut the video off too short. So we have our answer of 464, but did we check that with our estimate? So let's think about 464. Is the number 464 close to the estimate of 500 that we got earlier? Is it somewhere around or close to 500? And I would argue and say absolutely it is. Because if I take 464 and I round it to the nearest hundred, I underline the hundreds place, I look next door, that 6 is going to make that 4 go up to a 5, and the 6 and the 4 will become zeros. Because if I look at the number 464, it is in between 400 and 500. What is directly in the middle of 400 and 500? Absolutely, 450. All you have to ask yourself now is the number 464 on this side or is it on this side? Well, if I think about the number 450, I know 464 comes somewhere after it. So I'm going to place it right here and say that 464 rounds up to 500 because it is closer. It is closer to 500 than it is to 400. The space is shorter. All right, my friends, let's keep rolling so we don't run out of time. Let's look at problem number 2 and pull out what we know. Gonna have to get me some tape and put on my desk so I know where my lines are. All right, problem number 2. Rebecca rode her bike for 16 miles each day for 30 days. You go ahead, Rebecca. That's a whole lot of riding that bike, girlfriend. She must be preparing for a triathlon or something. So I'm going to start over. Rebecca rode her bike 16 miles each day. So what do I know? I know, and I'm using the word problem to help me spell right now. Rebecca rode her bike 16 miles. She rode 16 miles. I'll go ahead and finish it out. 16 miles each day for 30 days. Each day for 30 days. What else do I know? I know Michael rode his bike 25 miles for 28 days. Shoo. Michael rode 25 miles each day for 28 days. All right. My question is, who rode farther? Oh, and I have a second question. How much further? Okay, so I can actually combine that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my question and I'm going to come down here to my solution and I'm going to restate it so that I can make sure that I solve the entire problem. Who rode farther? How much farther? Blank rode. I guess I could put it as one sentence. Well, let's see. Blank rode farther, period. Blank rode blank miles farther. Do I really need this one? No. This person, if they rode farther, I just put their name one time. Blank rode blank miles farther. All right, my friends. let's keep on rolling. Let's come over here and let's do our estimation before we start working on our design. If I have the number 16, the number 16 would round to about what number? Yep, 20. And 30 actually rounds to 30. So we'll keep that rounded right there, and we'll say our estimation is 20 times 30, because Rebecca rode 16 miles a day each day for 30 days. So in order to figure out how many she rode altogether, I would have to multiply. So 20 times 30 is 2 times 3 equals 6. Add 2 zeros, 600. Michael rode his bike. This would also round up. So let's round that to 30, and this would round up to 30. Our estimation here would be 30 times 30. 3 times 3 equals 9. Add 2 zeros. So Michael rode his bike 25 miles each day for 28 days. Both of those numbers round to 30. So we're going to say he rode about 900 miles, and Rebecca rode about 600 miles. Now I can go ahead and look at my estimates and tell myself, who does it seem is going to ride further? Yeah, Michael. How much further does it seem like he's going to ride? What would I need to do with those numbers? Yeah, subtract them. So I would have my estimate would be 900 minus 600 would be 300. So my estimate is going to be, I'm going to estimate Michael rode about, that's the symbol for about 300 more miles than Rebecca. Okay. Well, let's come down here and find out what the actual number is. I'm going to take this and move it out of the way because I don't need it, and slide this up. There we go. All right. Let's figure out how many miles Rebecca actually rode her bike. If she rode 16, so this is going to be Rebecca. If she rode 16 miles each day for 30 days. Now, there's another way I could do this, especially since this ends in a 0. I don't have to make the area model. I can just say to myself, what is 16 times 3? Well, 16 times 3, using the algorithm, 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. This should be 16 times 3 is 48. Add a 0, 480. Let's check on Michael. Michael, I should probably slow down, my friends, because it did say that it wanted us to draw a diagram. So I'm going to leave that number there, and then we'll draw the diagram once we solve it with math. All right, so 25 times 28. I am going to need to use the area model because those are two really large numbers, and there are no zeros on the end. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to say 20 plus 5 and 20 plus 8. 20 times 20, 20 times 8, 5 times 20, 5 times 8. 2 times 2 is 4, add 2 zeros. 2 times 8 is 16, add a 0. 5 times 2 is 10, add another 0. And 5 times 8 is 40. Let's stack them and add them. 400, 160, 100, and 40. Now my brain automatically puts those together. 160 and 40, that's 200. And then my brain would automatically put those two together as well. 400 plus 100 is 500. So I could actually have done that quicker in my head, knowing those numbers. So Michael rode his bike 700 miles. So now I'm going to draw my diagram. I have Michael down here, and he rode 700 miles. 700 total miles. And then I have Rebecca, who rode 480. Now, when I think about 480, I know that if I was to, that 7's not an even number, but I do know what half of it is. I know that half of 700 is 350, and this number is greater than that. So I'm going to kind of break this up in my head. 700, 7 is not an even number. So I'm going to break it about right here and say 400 and 300. Okay, so there's 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. 480 is close to 500, but not quite. Not quite 500, so I'm going to back up just a little bit, and I'm going to make Rebecca's bar right there, 480 miles. Now let's go back to our question and see what the question was asking. Blank rode blank miles farther. There we are again. How are we going to figure out how? So obviously, who rode farther? Based on our model, who rode farther? Based on our numbers, who rode farther? Yep. Michael. Michael rode blank miles farther. How am I going to figure out how much farther Michael, so the part that Michael rode farther was this part right here. This is equivalent. This is how much farther that he rode his bike. How are we going to figure out what that number is? What this missing section is right here? Without a doubt, my friends, we are going to subtract. We are going to say 700 minus 480. 0 minus 0 is 0. 8 minus 0. I cannot do that, so I have to go next door. I have to take a 10. This becomes 6. This becomes a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. 6 minus 4 is also 2. So 220. Michael rode 220 miles farther. Now when I go back and I look at my estimation, 220 is not really close to 300, but since we rounded the numbers, you know, sometimes that happens whenever you round the numbers, especially when you round a number so far. And 16, we had to round up quite a bit. So 220 is what I got for this part right here. So Michael rode 220 miles farther. It's still not a terrible estimate. I mean, it still works. We did the estimation right, but because we had to round that number up, that's why we had to round it up so much. That's why it's so far away from the estimated amount. All right, my sweet friends, I hope you are staying safe and getting some work done and spending some time with your family. I will be back on later today or tomorrow. Talk to you soon. Bye.